Welcome to the Coherent Life. I'm Tai. We're going to kick back and talk about survival mode, coherence, and creating your life on purpose through real conversations about things like relationships, money, health, and the patterns that keep repeating in everyday life. If you already know that thoughts create reality but keep getting pulled into old patterns, stress, or overwhelm, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking about something that, once you truly understand it, changes almost every relationship in your life. Other people's emotions. More specifically, the belief that other people's emotions are somehow your responsibility. Here's the core truth I want to offer you today. You are not responsible for making other people feel a certain way, and you cannot control other people's emotions. Because the only thing that creates emotion is thought. People don't create emotion. Circumstances don't create emotion. Thoughts about people and circumstances create emotion, which means the only feelings you truly have control over are your own, through your thinking. This distinction alone can give you back an incredible amount of freedom, because most of us were not raised believing this. Many of us were raised with a completely different belief. One of the most common beliefs I see in my clients is this: if other people are upset, I must have done something wrong. I know that belief very well because it used to run my life. Believing this made me feel responsible for other people's emotional experiences. I became an excellent fawner, an excellent rescuer. I was constantly trying to anticipate and manage how people around me felt so that I could feel safe. I was anxious all of the time, but I didn't even realize it because the anxiety was so normal for me. It felt like my job to keep everyone okay. And if someone wasn't okay, I thought it meant I had done something wrong. But here's the truth. Believing you have control over other people's emotions is taking on an enormous responsibility, a massive job, an impossible one. You cannot control another person's emotional experience. Once I began to understand this, one thought in particular helped me shift. The thought was this: everyone is allowed to feel however they want. When I started practicing that thought, something inside of me softened. I stopped trying to control everyone's emotional experience. I stopped feeling responsible for feelings that didn't belong to me, and I began to experience more internal ease. Here's the distinction I want you to hear clearly. Your behavior is not caused by someone else's emotion. Your behavior is caused by what you are thinking about their emotion. If someone is upset and you think, I did something wrong, you might apologize unnecessarily. You might shrink. You might over-explain. You might people please. But if someone is upset and you think they're allowed to feel however they want, your response will be completely different. Your power lives in your thinking. Bring your power back to yourself. I work with many entrepreneurs, and I am one myself. And something I see over and over again is that building a business requires you to be seen. And when you are seen, people will have opinions. Some people will support you. Some people will misunderstand you. Some people will criticize you. And if you believe that everyone must feel good about you all of the time, you will most definitely stay small. One of the thoughts one of my coaches offered me that completely shifted my perspective was this: I'm willing to let people be wrong about me. That thought freed up so much energy, because when you stop trying to manage everyone else's opinion of you, you get to focus on building what you actually care about. So I invite you to try that thought on. I'm willing to let people be wrong about me. And just notice what becomes possible when you do. If you listen to episode 2, where we talked about codependency, this connects directly. Codependency often shows up as emotional caretaking, people pleasing. For me, it looked like emotional rescuing, trying to make sure everyone around me felt okay. And when they didn't, I felt responsible for fixing it. But emotional responsibility belongs to each individual, not because we don't care about people, but because emotional responsibility is what creates freedom. This becomes especially important when we talk about justice, inequity, and collective healing. Many people who care deeply about the world feel pressure to carry everyone's emotions, to absorb them, to fix them, to hold them all. But that's not sustainable, and it's not empowering for anyone involved. A true ally does not see people as powerless victims of circumstance. A true ally sees people as sovereign beings, capable, empowered. Yes, people experience real harm. Yes, injustice exists, but emotional agency still belongs to the individual. A coherent ally recognizes two things at the same time. I am responsible for my emotional experience, and you are responsible for yours. That's not indifference, that's respect, that's sovereignty. And that's what creates sustainable change. There's another layer to this that deepened my understanding of coherence. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that the heart produces a powerful electromagnetic field. In fact, the electrical field generated by the heart is significantly stronger than the one generated by the brain, and that field extends outside of the body. When you regulate your nervous system and enter a coherent state, your heart rhythm becomes more ordered. Your breath, thoughts, and emotional state begin to synchronize, and that coherence affects the field around you. Now, I want to be very clear about something. This does not mean that you are responsible for other people's emotions. You are not. But your internal state contributes to the emotional environment people experience. You've probably felt this before. You walk into a room and someone is calm, grounded, and steady. You can feel it immediately. Or you walk into a room where someone is anxious or tense and the whole room feels tight. That's the emotional field. When you practice coherence, you become someone who stabilizes the field instead of destabilizing it. You are not controlling anyone. You are not fixing anyone. You are regulating yourself, and that's powerful leadership. Instead of reacting to everyone else's emotions, you become someone who brings steadiness to the room, someone who brings clarity, someone who brings grounded presence. This is what coherent allyship looks like in action. Not emotional absorption, not emotional control, but emotional responsibility. I am someone who is very sensitive to other people's emotions. When someone around me is having big emotions, I feel it strongly. In the past, that would send me into survival mode. I would disassociate or people please or try to fix the situation so the feeling would stop. Now I practice coherence. I regulate myself. I come back to thoughts like, everyone is allowed to feel however they want. Instead of trying to fix people, I get curious. Sometimes I ask questions. Sometimes I simply hold space. But I no longer take responsibility for changing someone else's emotional experience. And that allows me to stay grounded instead of reactive. Here's the insight I want you to take with you today. You are not responsible for other people's emotions, but you are responsible for your own. So here are a few questions I invite you to sit with. Where in my life do I feel responsible for other people's feelings? What would happen in my relationships if I allowed other people to be responsible for their own emotions? What would I have more energy for if I allowed people to feel however they wanted? If you notice that other people's emotions pull you out of alignment, that's exactly the skill we practice inside of the Stop, Drop, Create, Coherence series. It's a 4-week guided practice that helps you regulate your nervous system and respond to life from clarity instead of survival mode. You can find it at shamantaima.com under the Stop, Drop, Create, Coherence tab. That's ShamanTaima.com under the Stop, Drop, Create, Coherence tab.